Hello everyone, welcome back to the Building Workspace in Public. In our last episode, we have explored the overall project structure and understood why we chooses the multi-module architecture. Today we will move inside this employee service and understand one of the most important concept in the Spring Boot development, that is layered architecture. This is being pattern. This is one of the design pattern you will see in almost every enterprise Java application. Let's see why this layer architecture is used. When we build an enterprise application, we don't put all the code into the one class. Instead, we will divide responsibility into different layers. This makes the application easier to understand, easier to test, and easier to maintain. Imagine if you are working in a project with hundreds of developers and a clear structure helps everyone know exactly where to find or where to add the code. Now showing you our employee services. Inside the employee service you can see we have the controller, DTO, uh, entity, service, security, service, repositories. These all are the one of the employee service packages. Now you can see these all packages available and follow the same architecture in different modules as well. Every package has a specific responsibility and let's understand each of them. If you see, first of the package is our controller layer, which is known as the entry point of the application. This is the controller layer which handles all the HTTP requests coming from the client and validating the basic request information, formats and the request information and forward this same to the service layer. Where we are calling the service layer is this employee service dot create employee. This is one of the method inside the employee service. So how it will be validating the response request from the client and then it is passing to the service layer. Now the real world example is think like a controller as a receptionist. It receives the request and then send them to the correct department and return the response. Similarly, once the request is sent to the service, you can see we have service, and inside the service we will see we have one employee service and parallelly we have one implementation class. The employee service is the interface, like defining the architecture, how the service should be and what method should it contain. It is an architecture, and through this interface we are able to implement our own service implement class. So if you see in the service implementation class, we are calling the create service from the controller layer, and let's move to the controller method inside service implementation. So this is the controller method inside the service implementation. For now you can skip all these coding part as we will discuss this in the further upcoming session. First, I will explain the service layer contain. The service layer contains the business logic. The business logic is like there will be when we are applying, we should validate business rules, calculate and coordinate with different components. If tomorrow our business logic change or chooses some different functionality, so we will update first of all the service layer. We will not change or affect the controller layer or any other layers. So the service layer helps to calculate the business logic. Second most after this, we are calling the repository layer. If you see, we have an employee repository and we have one of the method called from the service layer. This is the repository class. The main functionality of the repository class is to communicate with the database, or you can say to pass over the data from the service layer to the database, and from database to service layer repository play a huge role. The repository communicate with the database. Since we use Spring Data JPA, like we are using JPA repository, right? It is a one of the JPA which is given by Spring Data JPA, and we can perform all the CRUD operation without writing a SQL query for each and every query. Like for the normal CRUD operation, we need a save, update, delete, and get or find by ID and find by methods which are already present or given by the JPA repository, or you can say Spring Data JPA. so we can reuse them. Only the methods which we are not able to identify or as per our business logic, we can create them, but for the normal CRUD operation we can use JP repository. So this repository help us to transfer or communicate with the database. Second most, after this database, to connect with the database, we should be having particular you can say blueprint, or you can say the representation, like how your data should be isolated in the database, like the data which you want to communicate with the database, how should it should be structured. So it will came inside the entity layer. Entity is nothing but a class which is defined as with an employee class. Individually we have all these similarly to our respective module. So this is the entity class. We are annotating it with the @entity method. We will be seeing this in the upcoming session. Now second, after this entity class, what we will do, we will be doing like this entity will contain all the JPA annotations like entity @table. This @table is nothing but defining the column name, or the table name, how the database is keeping it. And similarly we have @identity, we have the @generate value. We will see one by one then in upcoming session. So basically entity should focus only on the persistent and should not be exposed directly through the REST API. The major part is this, like we cannot expose to the client directly the entity. We have to keep it persistent and should not expose it. Second, we will be having a DTO layer. DTO is nothing but you can see in the DTO we have the employee request. It is nothing but a data transfer object, which means like DTO defines the data that entire like that enter and leaves out of our application. The clients when hit the request, some of the data has been received from the controller. The data which is received by the controller are in the form of this DTO representation. So the DTO represents the data which we receive from the client and the data what we are sending to the client. In this project I am using records. If you see our all other classes like controller, service, entity, repository are the classes, but these DTOs are the records. Why we are using records, that we will see in upcoming session, but I can give you a little bit thought about that. Like in project if we are using Java records, because they are immutable, like concises and reduce the boiler code. Like for the we just need the DTO to expose our input and output request. We don't need any modification or any you can say any implementation. So records are such a structure kind of classes which don't have any can getter method, setter method, constructor implementation or toString method. It's have all inbuilt in it. We don't need to separately write it, or we need to explore it. So this is all the protected our entity from being exposed to directly to the client. So DTO one major important is like it protects the entity from being exposed directly to the client. And after that we will be having one of the package called mapper. Yeah. So what is the role of mapper? Mapper is nothing but it is one of the mediator to communicate, or you can say to convert, not communicate, to convert the DTO layer to entity layer and entity to the DTO layer. What this means, this keeps our service layer clear and avoid the repetitive conversation. Like if we have again in the create or in the update, we have the same employee updation. So again writing the insertion like set method or get method inside the service is becoming a huge content creation. Like we will be having a huge lines of code in the service layer, which is not good as per the coding standard. So we make a separate functionality or separate you can say role inside this mapper. So the setting like converting from DTO to entity and entity to from DTO back, mapper will be the one who will doing this work. Third, we will be seeing like how actually all the complete flow works. So if I show you how I show you, like First, the client will send the request. It will come to the controller layer. After coming to the controller layer, it should be an HTTP call. After receiving this HTTP call, it will go to the service layer. Once it reaches to the service layer, it will go to the implementation of the service layer. Here we will be calling we are doing all the calculation. If required, the data we will be fetching from the database to the repository. Once the data comes from the repository, it's calculate all and do all the changes and calculation in the business layer. Once it's done, after that, if any changes required like DTO to mapper or mapper to DTO, that will be happen in the middle of this. Once it's done, it will be sending back complete response created by the service layer through the business logic to the controller layer. And once the controller receives the response, it will send it back to the client. So every request follow the same path. By keeping the responsibility separation, our application become easier to maintain and extend as it grows. Now at last we will see, today we learn why enterprise application use layered architecture and what responsibility each layer has. In the next episode, we will understand why we use DTO as a Java record and while keeping entity as a regular Java classes. And we will see this practically examples as well. Today engineering insight of the day. Clear architecture isn't about creating more classes, it's about giving each classes a single responsibility. And AI tip of the day, ask AI to review your controller and the service layer to identify the business logic that should be moved out of the controller and keep controller thin in a common best practice in the enterprise application. And one of the interview question can be asked from this is like, why shouldn't we create or we write the business logic inside the controller? So the best answer you can give is, controller should only handle the HTTP request and responses. The business logic belongs to the service layer because it improves the separation of the concern, testability, maintainability, and allow the same logic to be used by different clients of API. So these are the main things what we have to learn today. I hope you enjoy it and hope this session would be helpful for you in upcoming your interviews and all. So thanks for watching and have a nice day. Keep learning, keep growing.